Welcome, my name is Tishar and this is StarMade. Last episode we created this little ship. I got a couple of good name suggestions for it already, but I haven't really decided on one yet. But I'll probably make a release of this blueprint this weekend because the quickfire has dropped. So now I've got a sure way to implement systems in ships again. At least I hope so. Doesn't change too much anymore after this. And I did notice a couple of things. Let me go into the ship mode again, and I'll show you what I changed about this ship. So if you go to the reactor, you can see that I've got a lot more reactor options now within the ship. So we've got a full stealth drive with a permanent stealth jammer. I've got some scanner options over here with a scanner strength of 5, so that's the maximum strength you can have. And I even have a couple of jump options attached to this reactor. So it gives you your ships a lot more versatility than it did before. I also quite like that the thruster blocks are a lot stronger now than they were before, so you need a lot less of them. And I think it's a good way to reduce the system blocks within the build, at least in this option, that you need less of them in combination with the amount of miles you can move a ship around with. The other big change is that the reactor blocks, let me grab a power and a stabilizer block, then I'll show you, are no longer linked through distance. So if you go to stabilizer block, you can see that the stabilizer blocks are now directly next to the reactor blocks themselves, and they do need a correlation between the both of them, that there needs to be a stabilization of 100% now instead of the, I think it was about 25%, 30% or something like that you needed at minimum at the old system. But I quite like this as well. It's a lot more logical than having a lower percentage than 100% stabilization. I'm not sure what will happen with the disappearance of the distance between the two groups. I do understand why they implemented that at the time, but I wasn't really a big fan of it myself. Mainly because, like ships like this, it's very difficult to implement those types of power systems in a small frame. Then I would have to put the stabilizer all the way here below the cockpit. I did that, but it's very awkward, and especially in combination when the integrity was still a thing, it wasn't really doable. But yeah, this gives me a lot more options to build again, so I quite like that. Well, the rest of the shop is still the same, so it still functions the same with our back door over here and all the other things that I put in the ship, so that isn't really different. But yeah, the systems did get a complete overhaul, and like I said, I probably do a release of this ship this weekend. But that's not what we're going to talk about this episode, not for the most part at least, because I did do some work, some additional work on my universal trading ship, and that's what we're going to work on today. The last time we left off with my trading ship, we did some additional work on the interior again, and today I want to try to finish this particular floor of this particular deck of the ship. So we added this room last time with the generators and well, this airlock thing that goes to the main engineering section. But now we need a couple of hallways connecting everything here, and we need to fill in these areas with the fabrication type of stuff that we can use to facilitate the worker bees that are in the wings. And then we have some space here for some research facilities. So that's the things we're going to build today. And perhaps we will have time for one additional project that will be on the floors above this deck. But we'll see how we will do with time. What I started with is adding the hallways. So the main passageways for people to walk through to get to everything. And I haven't put in a roof yet, but I did map out the hallways themselves because it was a difficult shape in some spots, especially this part over here, because it's a very big space. And then you go over here to the toilet facilities and this entrance to the generator room. And I managed to divide it basically by this beam and these pillars, and then add the gray line in the floor to make it more apparent that it is divided between two hallways. The only thing I do want to do is place something in the middle of this hallway, probably some greenery to block your sight a bit when you look from one end of the ship to the other. I quite like to keep the sightlines a bit shorter for people. But everything does seem to fit within the space I defined, so the same kind of style is used as the other hallways on the other end of the ship near the big elevator, and that's something I want to continue in the same style. So now I have to add these parts and then all the rooms connecting to it. The next part is mainly adding walls to the areas because I already did figure out where everything needed to go. And like I said, I did place some greenery in the middle over here. It does give some life to the hallway, and like I said, it blocks your line of sight a bit more, so you can't see all the way to the other end of the ship. And this hallway connects to, well, the existing hallway we had over here, and this area over here in the workshop area. And I got a couple of ideas what I want to do here. Some sort of small production facility, like I said, that will be used to maintain this ship and the worker bees. And then we have our hallway over here that connects to another smaller workshop over here. So there's probably going to be a couple of workbenches over here and some other doodads for people to work on. And then this connects to the, well, not a generator, but something else, machinery type thing with some storage for this area. So yeah, I think I'm quite done with laying out the walls for this. Only need to add it for the research area over here. And I did move two of these bio-containment cells things here that I had in the sick bay as well. Let me check, that was over here, I believe. Yeah, this was the, yeah, this is the one. I had it over here, so I think I'm going to remove this one and then probably use more of these things in here. Because I didn't really detail out the sick bay yet, but that's going to be something for another time. Yeah, I can probably use this this in here for this research facility. Remember this area? I worked on this, I think about 2 or 3 episodes ago, and I added these little robot arms to help the people maintain this these plants over here. And I got a nice remark about them that they really liked the robot arms. And I decided to use that in my new area over here as well. So this is the fabrication area over here. And I added a small factory setup in here. So I've got this really nice little robot arm over here that can move around all the area over here, and then one here in the middle. And what this thing does is basically it, well, at least that's what it's intending to do, pulls in resources over here, and then it goes to some sort of preparation method, hardening method. So we've got the green hardener and the red hardener. And then it goes to this these two machines over here, and then you get the normal regular hardener or the advanced hardener from your resources. At least that is what it needs to display. I think it works out quite well for such a small area. And I still have another fabrication area on the other end of the ship, but I haven't done anything with that yet because I want there to be a difference between the one on the left and on the right of the ship. So I still need to think of something I can produce over there. For the research areas, I decided to go with a nice orange stripe on the wall. It felt like a research color to me, so I put up the walls for that as well. And then in this area, I incorporated these bio tank thingies that I moved from the medbay here, and they fit in quite nicely within a wall shape like this. But on the other end, I decided to do something different slightly. So these are different biomes that we can put different alien creatures inside to study them, then keep them alive, of course, until the scientists get on to them. I think. So yeah, we still have the same mirrored design in space, but a slight different application of interior, and I'll try to replicate that in the rest of the lab section as well. So with that, the last spaces of this deck are filled in. So this deck is done. Finally! It took a long time, but I did take some breaks as well, of course. Yeah, I rushed through it a bit because I did want to get to the next project on this ship as well, because it's such a nice one, at least the ideas I have for it. And that's an area that I'm going to build connected to these windows and all the way up to the elevator, this space. I'm not sure how wide it's going to be, but it's going to be a sizable space to walk in. And I'm just going to tell you what yet. I'm hoping that you will notice once I start building. I started mapping out quite a big space for this particular area. Already put up some walls and some other decorations. As you can see, it has 2 floors with a catwalk at the top that you can walk through and then look out the window here into the park. And a couple of tables with lights on them and some chairs, and down here as well. And then there's going to be something over here. You might get a suspicion what this area is going to be already, I think. Especially if you look at these tables over here. There's someone that has a laptop open over here and working on it. Some papers over here and over there. So yeah, this is a area where people can go and work and do certain things. And this is what it looks like now. Yes, it's a library. I mean, why would you have a library on a futuristic spaceship? Why not? It's not a traditional library, of course, so we've got all types of servers in these huge racks over here and some blinky lights and things like that. And I added a rail in the roof section of this area. And my idea is to have an additional robot arm. I'm really on a roll with those. That has some sort of plugin that can plug into one of these servers at the top or lower, and then download some data for the user to use. So you've got these terminals on these ends of the bookcases or server racks that you can access to download the data you need, and then you can take it to a table, take a seat, and then work on whatever you need to work on. And the question is, of course, well, why does a ship need a library? It's not necessary that the ship itself needs a library, but because this is a trading ship, that's not only goods you can trade, it's also information you can trade, either to trade to your client or to buy it from your client. Then you can study it and learn from it for, well, perhaps future development of new technologies, or perhaps it's just cultural information, movies, music, whatever you like. So yes, a library. to give you a bit more of a full experience what this library is all about, I decided to go here in astronaut mode. Yeah, a bit lower than the floor of the library itself because I haven't filled everything in here yet. But this is the entrance, and in the entrance hallway we've got a small elevator over here that will bring you to the top, to the catwalk. We'll do that later. But in the main area over here, like I said, I added this robot arm, this plug-in thing. It's very scary, and it can plug into the server farms at the top or the bottom, whatever it needs, and then it download the information it needs. I decided to put a big painting on the wall over here with a Earth-like planet on display, and over here we've got our little desk with the librarians can sit and inform you about something, or well, give you information to take home. And of course the main library area itself that I already more or less showed. It's not really different. The only difference is all these doors in the walls over here, because these lead to very small cubicles, and these are solitary study areas. So you can just rent a cubicle like this and then work on some stuff over here without being disturbed by anyone. So yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on each side. They're all the same, more or less. So we've got 8 of these cubicles. And if you take the elevator to the catwalk above, then I can show you the view from the top as well. So we've got some more tables and chairs over here you can sit and use. You can just look into the main library area over here. This is one of my favorite things to have multiple levels that you can view different angles of the main area that I created here. It's something I like to do quite a lot actually. And on this end it's the same. There's no elevator over here, but there is a small storage closet. But that's it. So some library supplies, pencils, if they still have them in the future. Probably it's the easiest solution for writing in space, if I believe the stories. Yeah, so this library is more or less done, I think. I just have to need to connect it up to the rest of the ship. Yeah, there it is. So we can go down again, and here we are. Yeah, so there's only one entrance, so on the other end of the library there's no entrance to the area itself, just a supply closet as well for the librarians themselves. Quite like how this area turned out. Very futuristic, but also very cozy, I believe, because it is still a recognizable library. And this is one of the reasons I'm so glad the corner block was added, because that adds such an amount of detail to a structure like this. I couldn't have done that before. One last thing I wanted to talk about this build is I already started working with the new quickfire settings for this ship as well. Because I did keep a lot of open space in the top of the ship, I could easily implement a new power setup. And because the thrusters were so much more powerful than I was expecting at first, I had to remove a lot of them because they did draw a lot of power as well. But that's really too bad, because if I go to statistics over here, at the moment, yeah, here's thrusters. It has a thrust to mass ratio of 0.9. I want to get it up again to around 1.0, more or less, depending on how much I can squeeze out of it. Because yeah, I'm not sure how heavy it's going to end up once all the interior is done, but I should have enough space to mix that a bit. I did, like I said, add a new power block to the ship. It's now a level 400 power plant, and I did remove a whole lot of the stabilizing blocks. I had a whole block over here in the lower part of the ship. Didn't need that anymore. I had enough with the stabilizers in the back over there. Then the power plant connects to a whole bunch of lines over here, and that is because I moved all the chambers to an area over here that I freed up, because this was all engine parts in the old builds. So now I had enough space in this area of the ship to just add the chamber blocks, like you can see over here. And these are 3 different types of chamber blocks. So let me pull up the menu for that. Ship reactor again. So I've got a very sizable jump drive chamber setup. So multiple charge 2, power efficiency 3, distance 3, and auto charge. So it's a really powerful jumper, this ship. I added some basic scanning abilities as well, with a very strong scanner, and it can even scan for ores. But if you want, you can also revert this chamber and set it to scan for something else, like for example the cargo, or you can enhance the scan charge speed or scan duration if you want. But ore scanner is something I quite liked to set up myself. And I still had some room over to add some additional defensive chambers in this. This is one of the only times I used those, I think. It's because there was not enough room in the RC bar before that to do anything else, in my opinion, except for a jump drive. And perhaps some scanning? Yeah. So I've got some base armor enchantment that leads to environmental armor. So this will give you a lot of protection, for example, I believe, against sun damage. So this ship can go to parts of the galaxy that are perhaps more hazardous for other ships than for this one. And I gave it some heat armor just to round things up. So yeah, it's very versatile, I think, for a setup like this. And it freed up a lot of space. Within the front of the ship I had chambers in areas that it's, well, filled up nicely, but I put shields there and other stuff that could fill it up as well. So this is nice out of the way and centralized around the engine compartment of the ship. So it's logical as well. So I'll keep working on this. Of course, adding more interior to it, but also work on the new system setup for this ship until it's around the configuration that I want it to be. But that's work for later and for later episodes. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time.